Hello and welcome to a broadcasting studio at Vietnam Television. I'm Michael Liu with the latest headlines coming your way. World Bank predicts Vietnam as leading Southeast Asian growth. Then first juvenile court opens. Vietnam television reporter sits down for a chat about its significance. The La Boheme played for the first time in Vietnam, marking Hennessy Series' 20th anniversary. Now, first off, the 13th National Assembly on Monday continued the fourth week of the current session with the deputy chairpersons and members of the National Electoral Commission and the Commission for Defence and Security ending their terms of office. The National Electoral Commission chairwoman Nguyễn Thị Kim Ngân and State President Trần Đại Quang will submit a list of proposed vice chairmen and members of the National Electoral Commission and the Commission for Defence and Security for ratification later in the National Assembly session.
Chủ tịch nước số 12 ngày 11 tháng 4 năm 2016.
In the economic domain, the World Bank's recent report on the economic growth of Southeast Asia has projected that Vietnam and the Philippines are likely to have the strongest growth in 2016. The document predicts Vietnam to achieve the growth rate of 6.2% in the coming time. The decline in agricultural production due to salinization and reduced exports are cited as key reasons why the predicted growth rate forecasted will decrease. However, Vietnam will still remain the fastest growing economy in the region this year, with average regional growth of only 4.8% in Southeast Asia. Now, the World Bank has pinpointed restructuring and credit growth as the main areas in need of improvement for Vietnam this year. Now, 19 banks in Vietnam were listed in the top 100 banks in ASEAN in a report made by the global financial affairs magazine, The Banker, this month. According to the report, Vietinbank, Agribank, Vietcombank and BIDV were the highest listed among the 19 banks. The Vietnamese bank saw the second largest increase in assets with 15.66% per growth, but despite the increase only accounted for 7.46% of total asset worth, up from 6.21% in the previous year. Vietnamese banks also showed a 6% increase in pre-tax profits, a larger hike than any other country other than Singapore. Now, as a result of climate change, drought and saline intrusion are causing huge losses for Mekong Delta provinces. 11 out of 13 provinces have announced a disaster situation due to drought and severe salinization. 160,000 hectares of rice cultivation in the region have been affected by saltwater intrusion, and around 150,000 households are currently facing freshwater shortages. According to statistics, the 4 provinces suffering the heaviest losses are Trà Vinh, Sóc Trăng, Bạc Liêu and Bến Tre. At the moment, the localities are concentrating on controlling saltwater intrusion as well as a shortage of fresh water for agricultural production. In related news, the effects of climate change have continuously occurred across the Mekong Delta provinces and directly affected production and livelihoods. Recently, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment has issued policies and implemented many models to address the negative impact of climate change in the Mekong Delta region. These models have brought positive results, and we'll have more in the following report.
This is the first time the salinity level downstream of the Cochin River has exceeded 15 parts per thousand, having negative effects on blue-legged shrimp breeding. However, the cooperative of blue-legged shrimp farmers had efficient harvesting results at the beginning of the year. The farmers have proactively applied flexible solutions to address the changes brought by the salinization.
Nước mặn xâm nhập 2016 này là hết sức là cao.
One of the solutions we have applied to address the salinization is using lamb powder. In the last few years, the program of breeding giant blue-legged prawns in ponds in the coconut orchard helps farmers have higher income. Thanks to training sessions, we have attained more knowledge.
Over the years, Bến Tre province has implemented a series of integrated solution projects, such as building dikes suitable for egg production area, storm shelters, and a water supply system in the coastal districts. Its motto has driven people to effectively cope with climate change, according to the assessments of the steering committee of Bến Tre province. Raising awareness about biodiversity and creating sustainable livelihoods is an important task.
The province will propose a plan to improve irrigation and drainage canal systems in order to reduce the effects of salinization.
At the moment, besides developing and implementing programs to cope with climate change, the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment is working with other ministries, departments, and localities to closely monitor natural disasters and extreme weather events.
Now, countries around the world are now seeking new solutions to replace conventional energy sources that add to pollution. Clean and relatively money-saving solar power is now looming large as an effective energy alternative. Recently, Vietnamese scientists were able to invent a new material used in solar cells, which has very promising results.
This new material is about to be sent to Japanese laboratories for large-scale application. The material is used in solar power and is expected to be a giant leap forward in the solar energy industry.
The material is built from a mix of nano, graphene and photosensitive materials. It is expected to reach a capacity of 200%.
That is significantly impressive compared to the current 15% capacity of solar cells using silicon and semiconductor technology. Moreover, the new material has a relatively cheap price as it is made from local agriculture produce.
In the United States, it costs $10,000 to make 1 kilogram of this material. Meanwhile, we need only around 30 cents to make a kilogram of the material.
The new material has received the very first patent of 2016 from the United Inventors Association of the United States for Vietnamese high-tech products. It has also drawn the attraction of automotive and solar cell manufacturers in Japan. Most significantly, the new find has proved there is room for low-cost energy production in Vietnam that can protect the environment.
Moving on to the agricultural sectors. Now, Dalat People's Committee is accelerating brand building for their Dalat strawberries. Despite having a good reputation for producing high-quality strawberries, Dalat strawberry farmers still operate individually and do not possess their own exclusive brand. This means greater expenses for transportation, equipment and materials. The local authorities are now tightening standards for their brand quality. The brand building attempt aims to significantly increase the current production volume of 1,400 tonnes per year. The central province of Ninh Thuận has been long known for its vast vineyards and great products. These vineyards have recently become a new tourist attraction, offering visitors the chance to find out more about the province's grapes. The next report visits one of Ninh Thuận best-known vineyards at Boheme.
Under the scorching sun of the dry season, vineyards in Ninh Thuận province are still fresh and green. Bunches of ripe and juicy grapes are just too mouth-watering for tourists.
I really love walking under the canopy and eating as much grapes as I can.
Boheme Vineyard welcomes hundreds of visitors each week during the harvest season. In addition to enjoying grapes, tourists can also learn more about grape farming. Local tour guides are always willing to answer any questions from visitors. Moreover, tourists are also instructed to differentiate the many kinds of grape and learn more about the fruit safety.
I want to promote the image of my hometown's specialty fruit. This will help me attract more tourists. During the trip, visitors can explore the origins of many kinds of grape.
Many vineyards in Ninh Thuận province are now applying Việt Gap standards to their production. Keeping these vineyards green is a huge struggle for local farmers as severe drought is ravaging the central region. So even these simple vineyard tours can provide another way for farmers to earn much needed income.
So how is the Vietnamese dong performing at the moment? Let's check out the following charts. Still to come on VTV News. First juvenile court opens. Vietnam television reporter sits down for a chat about its significance. Then La Boheme plays for the first time in Vietnam, marking Hennessy series' 20th anniversary. Stay tuned. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, for the last few months, Malaysian and Thai officials have seized 5 fishing ships and a total of 56 Vietnamese fishermen for illegally entering and fishing in their territorial waters. Specifically, Thailand's Naval Zone 2 arrested 3 Vietnamese fishing ships with 33 fishermen on board on the night of April 8th. The ships were seized offshore Nakhon Si Thammarat province in southern Thailand. Since the beginning of 2016, the Naval Zone 2 force has arrested 17 Vietnamese ships involved in illegal fishing. Earlier, Indonesia and Malaysia also detained dozens of Vietnamese fishermen and sank their boats for trespassing in their waters. So far, Vietnam has reported 2 cases of Zika infection, including one in Ho Chi Minh City. In order to minimise the spread of the Zika virus, the health sector in Ho Chi Minh City is now taking wide-scale measures to prevent the disease and raise public awareness of mitigation efforts. These moves have had positive results in recent days.
Thanks to the information from the media, Trương Thị Hà is aware that fever and headaches are common symptoms associated with the Zika infection. She therefore immediately went to the hospital for a health check.
I'm not very worried. I've heard that this disease can be displayed through a fever. Moreover, the risk of head defects at birth is not high.
District 2 Hospital was the first place to detect Zika virus infection in Ho Chi Minh City. In addition to testing activities, doctors here are also giving consultancy to pregnant women on Zika prevention methods and helping calm their nerves.
The Zika virus often affects pregnant women in the first 3 months of the gestation period, and it directly affects the child's future. So we've given proper consultation so that mother don't get nervous.
Meanwhile, at the Zoo Hospital, doctors also carry out pre-birth selection to detect Zika virus early, in addition to preventive measures.
Pregnant women with flu will be quarantined for proper treatment. We are also cooperated with other healthcare units to diagnose the Zika virus.
At present, the Zoo Hospital is also measuring the head size for newborn babies for strict monitoring.
Vietnam's first ever family and juvenile court official opened last week in Ho Chi Minh City. The court specialises in processing familial and marital disputes and cases where the offender of the victim are aged below 18. Besides a courtroom, the site also includes an infirmary and psychological counselling room, as well as a playroom. The playroom is for children who accompany their parents to the courthouse or to those who wait to attend a trial themselves. Our reporter Thanh Tung sat down with Vihaya Ratnam Raman, a UNICEF Vietnam legal specialist. The organisation has supported the Vietnamese government over the past 10 years in establishing the court.
Yeah, thank you very much for taking your time with us today.
Thank you.
What are the differences between this kind of court and normal court?
Well, one of the things that you will instantly notice about a specialised children's court is that it's set up differently to the traditional adult courts in Vietnam. So it's much more set up so that children and their families are not at a lower level than the judge. Participants in the proceedings sit more in a round or U shape. So it's a much more favourable environment to discussing and talking and understanding. And it puts the child at rest, at ease. And often these cases will be closed to the public because you don't want different people coming in that the child or the family doesn't know, that again would make the child feel uncomfortable.
Why it is crucial for a country to have a family and juvenile court?
There's an international imperative. The Convention on the Rights of the Child, which Vietnam ratified in 1990, requires each state to develop a specialised child justice system. And a specialised children's court is a core component of that specialised child justice system. But more practically, children are different. They think differently, their brains are still developing, their bodies are still developing. The Supreme People's Court did a study a couple of years ago, and they found that children in Vietnam who had been through the court system were very afraid and intimidated. So if you can imagine yourself, do you think being scared and intimidated, you could tell exactly what had happened to you? Probably not. So that's why a specialised court is very important, because it allows children to participate and it allows the judges and prosecutors to really understand what has happened in this specific case and decide what is the most appropriate response, and basically ensure that justice is being served for these children and the family.
According to Vietnam's Ministry of Justice, each year from 14 to 16,000 minors break the law. From 2001 to 2010, some 10,000 children were the victims of sexual assault.
They told my kid not to say anything. If they did, he would strangle her to death. So my child was obviously terrified.
Recognizing the need for a specialist court for minors, the Family and Juvenile Court was introduced in the law on the Organization of People's Courts in 2014.
How many countries in the world also have family and juvenile courts?
Most countries around the world have a specialised children's court, and in ASEAN, every country now has a specialised juvenile court, except for Cambodia, who are in the process of developing a specialised children's court. So Vietnam joins most countries in the world in having this very critical institution for children.
What measures should Vietnam take to run the court effectively?
Vietnam needs to appreciate that this is the first step. It's an amazing step, but it's the first step, and it doesn't stop here. We need to dedicate resources, we need to dedicate staff and expertise, and set up systems and processes that make it work effectively. And part of this is the need for Vietnam creating a justice system as a whole that is child-friendly. There are many components, and the court is just one of them. The police, procuracy, Ministry of Labour and Invalids and Social Affairs, MOLISA, mass organisation, the Women's Union, Youth Union, civil society organisations who can provide specialised counselling, trauma counselling, legal aid. all of those different actors need to be recognised and allowed to play a role in a child-friendly justice system.
Once again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Now, Hanoi hosted an International Education and Career Expo today, April the 11th. The event has attracted parents, students and soon-to-be graduates interested in career building in the age of global integration. This was a chance for many educational institutions and businesses to promote their products and exchange knowledge. Attendants also received career counselling and important information about scholarships and courses for studying abroad. Moving on to the tourism sector. Now, the National Tourism Year 2016 was officially launched yesterday with the theme Exploring the South in Phu Quoc Island, Gyeongsang Province. The opening ceremony was a national arts performance which attracted many famous artists and celebrated the uniqueness of the Mekong Delta region. The National Tourism Year 2016 includes 65 events held throughout the year, with emphasis on promoting tourism in Phu Quoc Island and the Mekong Delta. Phu Quoc Island of Vietnam is known for its white sand beaches and palm-lined coast that still bears untouched beauty. Over the past few years, the island has gained popularity and become a favourite destination for both international and local tourists. The classic Italian opera La Boheme was staged on Sunday in Hanoi to mark the 20th year of the Hennessy concert series in Vietnam. It was performed by musicians from Australia's Sydney Opera House and streamed live via a 500-inch screen at the August Revolution Square. Our reporter Diệu Linh brings you the story.
La Boheme tells the story of young bohemians living in Paris in the 1940s. This version of the classic opera made a particular impression thanks to the use of high-tech stage installation and the young and dynamic cast.
The new ingredients are, for example, we have video projection that serve as a backdrop that gives us an idea of the setting of Paris and of the period. And the other ingredient is that it's a very young and youthful cast.
Through a catchy and well-known score, La Boheme took audiences back to the first experience of being in love. The story is about friendship, love, and inevitable challenges in life.
I've tried to pare down the production so that the focus is on the performers and that they can create really intimate and sincere and genuine acting performances.
The audiences were fascinated by the music and the inspiring performances of artists from Opera Australia. Through the world-renowned opera, the Australian artists also sent a message about life to local audiences.
The greatest messages of Boheme is that we all have a dream. It shows that even through adversity, even through tragedy, your dream can still come true.
This is the first time a full-length opera has been performed at the Hanoi Opera House as part of the Hennessy concert series. The performance was a perfect combination of singing and acting. I'm very excited to enjoy the show.
1,200 times, that's how much La Boheme has been performed around the world. That makes this masterpiece become one of the 3 most popular opera in the repertoire. To mark the 20th year of Hennessy concert in Vietnam, the organizer hoped to bring local audience a feast of high-quality art. Diệu Linh for Vietnam Television, Hanoi.
Electronic music producer Sayset played in Ho Chi Minh City for the first time yesterday. Now, the show Coming Music and Abstract's video work left a lasting impression on electronic music lovers.
Having been to Asia several times, this was Pierre Lefebvre or Sayset's first performance in Vietnam. The event saw a large turnout from electronic music lovers.
I've known Say before in France. Now, as I knew he was performing in Vietnam, I immediately bought tickets for the show.
The French artist offered a performance that fused music and video. He was accompanied by VJ Zita Cochet, who provided live visuals.
We have known each other for over 12 years now, so we understand each other very well. I feel the most satisfying when I have her doing the live video during my performances. The images in the video have to be closely connected with the music.
Pierre Lefebvre has developed quite a reputation for his live shows, and he received a strong turnout.
Say's music is experimental. He's pushing the boundaries in terms of electronic music production.
Music is a bridge to connecting cultures, and Say's show proves that electronic music is no exception.
Now that has wrapped up this edition of VTV News. Now please Now, just before we say goodbye, let's take a look at the latest weather forecast of selected cities around the world. Now, the weather forecast has just concluded this edition of VTV News. Do log on to vtv4.vn or youtube.com/VTV4Go for more of our content. Goodbye for now, and thanks for stopping by.